The issue is not that they're complicated. It's just that people have not been exposed to them properly. And especially in modern education, which de-emphasizes physiology in medical school, residency training, they're just not exposed. And, I lecture all over about pressure volume loops. And after, some of the lectures I give are 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever. And after that, we, focus on demystifying complicated things. That's things that seem complicated, but they couldn't be simpler. It's so much easier to understand PV loops than all of the complex things that are going on in cardiology these days with TAVR, complicated things with TAVR, with amyloid, with sarcoid, all these complicated drugs and molecular mechanisms and gene therapy and cell therapy and population statistics. Pressure volume loops are a walk in the cake or a walk in the park. So what I want to say, to walk in the park, it's a piece of cake. And really it's just a matter of getting the proper exposure to it. Issues like this focused issue on hemodynamics, I think, are really important in the modern day to remind people that, number one, there's still a lot being investigated and discovered, and there's a lot of utility to basic things of hemodynamics. Two examples that I particularly liked in this issue. First was a long-standing debate among some about whether ECMO loads the heart or doesn't load the heart, and whether you need unloading. It keeps coming up. I think personally that the data are hands down that, ECMO can load the heart. It doesn't load it in everyone. And I think that the papers and the accompanying editorial perspectives, especially the accompanying editorial kind of lays out the principles that people should think of. And this is really very fundamental. It's practice. It's very relevant for practice to understand, what does ECMO do? What are the hemodynamic factors that determine whether ECMO does or does not load the heart? And again, so that I think was one of the nice things, one of the nice pieces here. Secondly, I really liked the piece about, and this will not come as a surprise, diagnosing unexplained dyspnea using invasive pressure volume loops. And the reason I like this one is because it shows practical application of pressure volume loops in clinical practice. Pressure volume loops were introduced in the late 1800s and have never really found a really solid place in clinical medicine, although it has really formed the basis of a huge amount of research and understanding of hemodynamics. But I really think that we're poised now with multiple efforts going on that PV loops are going to enter into clinical practice in one way or another in the next 5 years. And I think that there are multiple efforts that are being undertaken right now by investigators all over the world. And I've reviewed several papers in the last half a year, each of them entitled something like bringing PV loops into clinical practice. It's going to happen. And this just further reemphasizes that we need to reintroduce education at the medical school level through fellowship and reinvigorate our efforts to really, educate people on the value of these. Because once they see the value in clinical practice, there's kind of a chicken and egg. We don't teach it because it's not used in clinical practice, and we don't use it in clinical practice because it's not taught. So we're kind of in a cycle here that we have to break, and I think that we're on the verge of breaking that.